I assure you, in a couple of days' time, the audio quality is going to improve. Now, why is that the case? Because I have decided to upgrade the audio quality of the broadcast itself because I just really want to take it to the next level, and I want to make sure that the audio is superb. And so that has led me to make a little bit of an investment. I will share with you what is the tool in a couple of days when it's shipped to me. It should be here anytime now, probably a couple of days more. So be patient, all right? Okay, so what do you know? This is the Melvin Live Show, and on today's episode itself, what we are going to be talking about is essentially something that I have been very, very familiar with, and something that if you let me, I could talk about it all day. Now, what is that? I'll tell you what is that in a minute, but let me tell you a joke. Well, not exactly a joke, but not exactly a joke, but a joke where some of us will get it. All right. So if you get it, make sure you give a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the love button. Whatever you can smash, just go ahead and do that. Right. So the joke is this: before World War II, life was simple. After World War II, we had systems. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today, essentially, and for this entire week, we are going to be diving deep into what we call systems. Now, one way of thinking about systems is a series or is a set of processes that work together to help you achieve a particular result itself. So when you think about system, you can look at system in various ways. One way to look at it is that, for example, you would say that we have a transport system. Now, why is it a system? Because oftentimes there is a hub and spoke configuration. And typically, in the Singapore context, we have what we call an interchange. So this is where all the buses would actually go to. That is their final destination. And once you reach that destination, you can then take other services, or that may be your destination. But if you are transiting to another destination, that is where you go and catch another bus or the train to get to your destination itself, right? So pretty much same as an airport, where Singapore it's clearly the hub in this region itself. So many people would actually fly to Singapore, transit at Singapore, and then continue on their journey to their destination itself. So that is like a transport system. And in order for a transport system to function at its optimal level, there are a few things that needs to be put in place. So for instance, there must be a ticketing system. So a way for you to pay for the fare and to be able to ride to your destination with the correct amount of fare. And there should be a check and balance. So, you would have inspectors that come on board to check your tickets and to validate that you have bought the right ticket or you have paid the right amount. So those are essentially the various subsystems that make this bigger system work. And quite frankly, if you look around, you would see systems everywhere because number one, our body has got different system, right? We got our respiratory system, we got a digestive system, for example. For the other systems, you got to ask my wife, right? I mean, that's her department. And so, in even in a building, you would have different systems. For instance, right at my place, you would have someone who is in charge of security, someone who is in charge of the cleanliness. And so together this form a system that protect and secure and ensure that this place is clean. And so that's one way of looking at systems itself. So when we talked about system in your online learning business, right? What exactly are we talking about? So let's backtrack a little bit and go back to first principles. Now, first principle tells us that you have an expertise, and what you want to do is you want to digitize your expertise so that essentially you kind of clone yourself. And once you have done that, you are able to leverage this digital asset, and you can leverage it because you just only have to do this once, but this piece of asset can work for you over and over and over again. Now, we're not going into how to make the online course engaging and different from 90% of the online course that we know present today, right? That's not something that we want to go into. But what we want to go into is we're looking at you have an expertise, you want to digitize this expertise so that you could leverage it as an asset and it can continue to help you in your business over and over again. And so, that part of the asset could be it starts generating leads, or it start, generating revenue for you, or it helps you in terms of support, for example, right? So there are various levels that we are looking at. Now, let's go to the most fundamental level, right? The most fundamental level for most online course creator, it's who's going to buy my course? And that is after they have gotten over the fact of imposter syndrome, whereby they feel like, I'm not good enough. Who am I? People may attend my course and then find out that I'm a fraud, yada, 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 assuming they get over all of that, right? And by the way, in catalytic courses, and that's where we talked about how do you overcome things like imposter syndrome. So if you want to find out more, or if you are experiencing imposter syndrome, and quite frankly, I can tell you, every one of us have that experience in some way, shape, and form. I do, and if you do, that is fine. You just need to learn how to overcome it, and then from there take it to the next level. So assuming you have overcome that hurdle itself, and now you are creating, you have done all your research, right? You know exactly what is it that people want. You have reached out to them. You know that they are going to pay for what you have, right? All that is done. The next part really is you want to be creating your online course. And after you create your online course, you want to have a system in place to do a few things. Number one is that you want a system to be in place to help you generate leads, right? And by generating leads, what is the system that you need? And after you have people coming to your site or being aware of your existence and your content, the next thing is how do you then figure out of all these people who are your leads, how many of them are actually a prospect, right? Because arguably, you can have anyone who's interested in this topic. Technically speaking, anyone who is interested in this topic will be a lead for you. But that doesn't mean that everyone will become a prospect, because in order for them to become a prospect, they have to, or you have to satisfy certain criteria for them. before they would even consider, you know, doing business with you. It's as simple as that. So you want to funnel it down from leads to prospect. Now, so once you've gone through the prospect, you've qualified them, the next thing is what you want to do is you want to then convert as many of this prospect as possible into customers or whatever your bandwidth can handle, right? So, like when I advise first time course creators, I always tell them pick a number that you're comfortable with. And when I say comfortable with, it means that if you have this many people texting you or sending you emails, you want to be able to respond to them and at least let them know or make them feel that they are not being left alone, right? So that's crucial. Better still, if you can and make them feel like as if they are the only learner you have, right? That you give them personalized and that focus level of attention. Okay, so that it's essentially the system that we talked about, right? You want to generate the 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 amount of people who are potentially a lead. And then from there, you want to then see through this group of people who are leads and qualify them into prospects. And then from prospect itself, then to convert as many of them or as many as you can handle into a customer. So the thinking behind this is essentially as follows. In the first wave, I would say, in the first wave of you going through this process itself, what you would want to do is you would want to first go through the list of people that you think would feed into this category. And this is the group of people that you want to approach. Now, there are certain people who would tell you that you would want to put it up on a landing page. And once that landing page is up, you would then run a series of ads to see how many people actually buy into that course itself. Now, I think both are feasible and both are doable. I mean, I have done both before and both has worked out pretty well for me. Now, the question of which one you should take, I think we will leave that later on when we come to the process itself, because that's when I dive deep into sharing with you what is the process that I did. But fundamentally, the thinking behind this whole system, it's you want to identify as many people who could become your leads and then turn them into prospects and then turn them into customers. So let's back it up a little bit and let's talk about the leads part, right? What will be some of the things, or what are the things that you can do to create a high level of awareness so that anyone who is interested in the topic that you're talking about will then raise their hand and say, yes, I want in on this particular thing you're talking about, right? So that is something for you to think through, because if you want to generate leads in that sense, what is the first thing that you have to do? And if you ask me, the first thing that you have to do is you have to get their awareness, which means that they are aware of you. Now, we can go even deeper here and talk about, awareness at different level, because awareness could be awareness that I have a challenge or I have a gap or I have a problem that I need to be fixed. Sometimes people can go through their life and not see that there is a problem where, someone from a a detached perspective, would be able to see it pretty clearly, right? So, first level of awareness really is to make people aware that there is a problem. Because always remember, if there is no problem, there is no business. Until and unless there is a problem, that's where people would start searching. So, as long as you have some level of discomfort, like, wow, this is the amount of this is the goal that I want to achieve, but I'm only at here, and therein lies that problem. And of course, depending on the motivation and the level of hunger of the person, it will determine how much will this person be moved to want to take care of the problem. So first, they must be aware of the problem, right? So that's the first level. So to make them aware of the problem, essentially, it's to show them that there is a problem to begin with, or to show them that there is a solution that they might not be aware of. So, for instance, when it comes to my um, business now, I'm looking at I'm building this thing called a catalytic cause. And what exactly is a catalytic cause? A catalytic cause it's just like a catalyst. Your cause will be that element that triggers off a series of events for your learner. And that essentially is a catalytic cause. So the cause itself must do certain things so that it will inspire your learner to want to take things to the next level, right? But before you can even, so why am I bringing this up? It's because, first thing first, people need to know that there is a problem with the online learning industry itself, right? Because by and large, unless your life depends on it, by and large, most of the people I know have bought courses and not completed them. I am a guilty one, right? So I'm not pointing fingers here. So unless your life depended on it, like I mentioned yesterday, I was sitting for an exam, and because of that, I had to go through the modules before I can qualify for a seat for the exam. And so because my life kind of depended on it, I have to go through. But the entire learning experience was not pleasant to begin with. And so the question is, does it have to be that way? Right? Does it have to be that way? Now, it may not be a problem for people in that industry because, well, like it or not, the candidates would have to complete their online learning, because without that, they would not be able to sit for the exam. But in other cases, right, in other cases whereby it is not mandatory, when it's not mandatory, then how is it that you are able to encourage people to want to A, complete your course, and B, to be able to help them make progress towards the goal itself, right? So the the my thesis is basically saying that there is a better way for learning and there is a better way to teach. And until and unless we get this framework right, you are going to default to the usual way of doing online learning. And so, first, I must make you be aware of that there is a problem, right? You may realize that there is a problem, but you are not sure how to solve the problem. And so, this is where I need to demonstrate to you the solution that is able to solve this problem. So, once I have made you aware of the problem, next, I need to show to you how to solve that problem. And what is the benefit of solving that problem? That's something that I would have to demonstrate to you. And once we have demonstrated to you the benefits, the next question on your mind would naturally be, okay, now I'm sold. How do I do that? And that's where we come in and share with you our solution, our framework, our approach, our system to be able to help you do that. So that it's the promise itself, right? And so in this process itself, first I have to generate leads. So anyone who is looking at a better way to create online learning, anyone who is bothered and want to create better online learning would be interested in what I have to say, right? So these people are my leads. Now, these people may be my leads, but as I mentioned to you earlier on, some of them may not be qualified as prospect because they happen to be in an industry whereby whether they like it or not, or whether the learners like it or not, they would have to sit through the entire online learning because without that, they will not be able to proceed to the next level. And so for the people who are creating the online course, the incentive isn't that high at all. As long as they meet the standard requirement, they're good to go, right? So why fix it when it ain't broken? And, but there will be a group of people who would want to one up on their competitors. And so by figuring out how to be one up against my competitors, this is where they will start searching for the solution and they will start exploring. And this is where they become a prospect for me. And of course, once they become the prospect for me, the next part really is how am I able to convert them into a customer? And to convert them into a customer, of course, I have a few criteria. One is, are they able and willing to pay the amount that we have levied on the course, the system, as well as the community, right? And we have come up with various pricing options so that we are able to help people achieve a goal and yet help us achieve our bottom line. Well, so that's how the entire thing works. So moving forward, what we're going to be talking about tomorrow, it's what is the strategy, right? What is the strategy for you to implement this thing? What is the strategy behind this framework itself of looking at leads, prospect, and customers? What is the strategy for you to do that? So tomorrow I'll be sharing with you the strategies that you could look at. And then on Wednesday, this is where we will go into what are the books that I've read that gave me these ideas, right? The genesis of these ideas itself. And then on Thursday, it's where I will show you a flywheel that I have deconstructed that very clearly align to what I've talked about. And also, this flywheel taught me quite a fair bit about how to create this system. And then on Friday, it's where I share with you my own process, right? Because that flywheel that I share with you have certain characteristics that you and I may not have. And so, what is the process that I use that have given me results? That will be on Friday. On Saturday, I will share with you the tools that you can use to build this system. And then on Sunday, that's where we will answer your questions. All right. So with that itself, if you got a question for us, a question for me, make sure you leave it in the comments or you send me a message. And if this video have been useful, you know, give me a thumbs up, and that will be absolutely, absolutely encouraging, and it means the world to me. And if you found that this video has been useful and you feel that someone else can benefit from it, please go ahead and share it. Share it on LinkedIn, share it on Facebook, right? Share it and make sure you tag me, and so that I could value add and I could answer any questions if people would have about what I've just shared. And finally, if you want more such content and be notified, what you would want to do is you would want to subscribe to my channel or follow me on Facebook and make sure you click on the bell so that you get informed whenever I go live. And so, with that, I thank you so much for watching. And tomorrow we'll be talking about the strategy. So, I'll see you then. Bye bye.